Enkidu, a Wild Man. After reading the book The Hidden History of the Human Race, Forbidden Archaeology by Michael A. Cremo and Richard L. Thompson, my understanding of what constitutes anatomically human has improved. It is widely accepted that humans are classified as an animal species, and it is evident that various anatomical types of humans coexisted throughout the course of human history. A wild man is sometimes recognized as a special character in stories and legends. He is someone who lives in the wild, away from towns and cities, and likes to be close to nature. The wild man looks and acts differently from people who live in houses and wears clothes. He may have long hair or wear animal skins. The wild man is very strong and knows how to survive in the wild. Sometimes the wild man is seen as a friend to humans, helping them or teaching them important things. Other times, he can be a bit scary because he is so different. I have read the book The Epic of Gilgamesh, a new translation by Andrew George, many times. And what is amazing is that it contains a description of an individual named Enkidu, who is considered a wild man in the Babylonian tradition. Enkidu is described as being hairy all over and having tresses like those of a woman. According to multiple sources, including the epic, Enkidu was created by the Anuna/Anunnaki gods and was initially uncivilized, living among the animals in the wilderness. Enkidu's introduction to civilization and how people lived started when he met Shamhat, a temple prostitute. Shamhat became his guide, showing him the ropes of city life and teaching him how things work. Hanging out with Shamhat, Enkidu began to act more human-like and less like a wild man. This led to him and Gilgamesh becoming really good friends and forming a tight friendship. Tablet 1, The Coming of Enkidu states, King Gilgamesh tyrannizes the people of Uruk who complain to the gods. To divert his superhuman energies, the gods create his counterpart, the wild man Enkidu, who is brought up by the animals of the wild. Enkidu is spotted by a trapper who lures him away from the herd with a prostitute. The prostitute shows him her arts and proposes to take him to Uruk, where Gilgamesh has been seeing him in dreams. Andrew George, The Epic of Gilgamesh. What you have just heard are the written texts of Andrew George's translations of the cuneiform tablets. However, what's interesting and what should always be kept in the back of the mind is what Andrew George wrote in his introduction to the Epic of Gilgamesh. He writes, though the story of Gilgamesh is certainly fiction, Moran's diagnosis is also a warning not to read the epic as myth. There is little consensus as to what myth is and what it is not. And ancient Mesopotamian mythological texts show considerable variety. The Patterson-Gimlin film has been a topic of debate since the footage was shot in 1967 in Northern California. Many people consider this footage to be an actual recording of what is known as Bigfoot. The belief in the existence of Bigfoot is subjective and varies from person to person, and because of that, there are many names for what is known as Bigfoot. Here are just a few of them: Sasquatch, Yeti, Skunk Ape, Yowie, or Yowie, so I've heard it two different ways, Alma, Grassman, Wildman, Wood Booger, Momo, Missouri Monster, and Yaren. When we look at how Enkidu was described by the ancient Sumerians in Mesopotamia and compare it to how people describe Bigfoot today, we find some really surprising similarities. Even though a long time has gone by, we can still see certain traits or qualities associated with Enkidu in the old texts that are still mentioned or observed in the way people describe Bigfoot of today. This article was published because, for one, I love ancient history, and two, I personally thought this would be an interesting topic to talk about. This article of mine was not to say that Enkidu and Bigfoot are the same. However, I've read many different descriptions of Enkidu, and I've also read many different descriptions of Bigfoot, and I couldn't deny the similarities. Similarities like hairy all over and living in the wild. And if you've really studied who Enkidu was, this wouldn't be far-fetched. But what is the possibility of Enkidu and Bigfoot being the same? Like I said in my article, the belief in the existence of Bigfoot is subjective and varies from person to person, but the earliest account that is actually recorded of a wild man goes to Enkidu. If anyone wants to discuss my article, just let me know. Until next time, knowledge is power.